All right, let's dive right in. Today, we are tackling a really profound and, you'll see, surprisingly modern question from one of the great classics of Buddhist philosophy, the Avatamsaka Sutra. We're going to explore what this ancient text says about what true spiritual practice actually is, and I'm telling you, the answer might just shock you. So, let's get into it. So, the whole chapter we're looking at really hinges on this one core question. A celestial being basically asks, for anyone who's on a spiritual path, what does it really mean to engage in pure conduct? What's the actual work that gets you to enlightenment? Now, be honest for a second. When you hear that phrase, spiritual practice, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Is it like a monk on a mountaintop? Somebody sitting in painful silence for hours on end? Or maybe just a huge list of really complicated rules? Let's get all those common ideas out on the table. Yeah. Most of us, we think of stuff like this, right? We imagine this intense self-denial, following a bunch of strict precepts, leaving society behind to become a monk, sitting for hours and hours in meditation, or even trying to just completely squash all our desires. And look, while these things can totally be part of a path, the sutra is about to tell us that none of them, in and of themselves, are the actual practice. And this is where things get really interesting. See, the sutra doesn't just try to tweak these old ideas, it basically flips the whole table over. It argues that true practice isn't found in any of these external things we do. Okay, so the first step on this journey of understanding is, well, it's pretty radical. The sutra tells us we literally have to dismantle all our preconceived notions. We have to unlearn what we think we know before we can even begin to see what's really going on. And the way it does this is just brilliant. It uses this amazing, almost Socratic method. It takes every single thing we might possibly cling to and say, this is the practice. And it systematically just pulls it apart, forcing us to look way, way deeper. Okay, check out how this works. It's like a rapid fire round. Is practice our physical body? Nope, says the sutra, it's impermanent. Is it our speech? Nah, that's just sound. What about our mind? Nope, that's just a constant stream of thoughts. Our actions? No way, they're always changing. Well, what about the really holy stuff in Buddhism? The Buddha himself? Not the physical form. The Dharma? The teachings? Not the concepts on the page. The Sangha? The community? Not the group identity. Even the precepts? The rules? Nope, not the external form. The answer to everything we try to grab onto is a loud, clear no. So after that complete teardown of every possible answer, we're left kind of hanging, right? If the practice isn't our body or our mind or our actions or even the religious forms themselves, then what on earth is it? And this, right here, brings us to the core revelation of the whole text. Now that all the clutter has been cleared away, the sutra finally gives us the real definition of what it calls pure conduct. Okay, so here's the absolute crucial point. True spiritual practice, it's not an action you perform. It's not about doing something. It is a cognitive state that you inhabit, a state of pure, non-attached awareness. It's like a fundamental shift in your entire operating system, moving from doing to being. This quote from the sutra just illustrates the foundation of that awareness so perfectly. It says, the past is already gone, the future has not yet arrived, and the present is empty. Now, this isn't some downer, nihilistic thing. It's pointing out that our obsession with a solid past, a concrete future, and a fixed present, it's all a mental construct. True practice is seeing through that illusion, not getting hooked by it. In other words, think of it this way. The practice isn't the active meditation, it's the non-attached awareness you have during meditation. It isn't chanting, it's the non-attached awareness you have while you're chanting. It's never about what you experience, but about the quality of mind that is experiencing it without desperately grabbing onto it or pushing it away. Okay, so if it's a state of awareness, that sounds great, but how do we get there? It's not about just passively sitting back and observing. The next step is about actively cultivating the wisdom to see the world and ourselves with total clarity. Right, so this isn't some vague, mystical state you just hope to fall into. It's something you cultivate by developing a deep and really practical wisdom about how reality actually functions. This means getting a real handle on cause and effect, getting to know the nature of your own mind, and even understanding the different psychologies of the people around you so you can actually connect with them. And it all leads up to this peak understanding, seeing the dreamlike, illusory nature of, well, everything. This slide right here, it totally nails the cognitive shift we're talking about. On the left, you've got the normal, conventional view. The world is a solid, fixed reality out there. But the wisdom view on the right, it reframes it completely. The world is more like a dream, a shadow, or an echo. Now, this doesn't mean it isn't real. It just means its reality is fluid, it's transient, and it's completely inseparable from the mind that's perceiving it. So, let's bring this ancient philosophy down to earth. How do we translate all of this into a practical guide for our busy, modern lives? Let's break it down into something we can actually use, day in and day out. Okay, here are 8 actionable tips pulled straight from this wisdom. First, and this is huge, don't confuse the form, like your time on a meditation cushion, with the actual goal, which is a non-attached mind. Second, practice just being the observer of your thoughts and feelings, not their owner. 3 and 4 are all about freedom. Don't get attached to those special spiritual highs and start seeing big life events like success and failure as dreamlike. 5 and 6 turn outward. Let compassion just bubble up naturally from this wisdom, and actually take the time to learn about people so you can help them better. And now for the really subtle ones. 7, let go of the ego's sneaky attachment to the identity of, I'm a spiritual person. And finally, number 8, which is really the whole point. Integrate this awareness into everything. Eating, walking, working. That is the real practice. So let's pause for a second for a final self-check, just to see if this has really landed. Is your personal practice focused more on A, trying to change your external behavior to fit some kind of moral code? Or is it B, seeing through the entire mechanism of mental attachment itself? The first one is moral discipline, which is fine. But the second one, according to this text, is the direct path to waking up. The entire path, the whole thing, can be distilled down into this simple, incredibly powerful formula. It all starts with non-attachment, seeing things just as they are. That clarity allows real wisdom to arise. This wisdom, in turn, naturally gives birth to this deep, profound compassion for all other beings who are also caught in this dream. And the natural, inevitable result of all that is enlightenment. And we're going to end on probably the most radical and, honestly, the most empowering statement in the entire text. It says that at the very first moment, you truly generate this aspiration for awakening, this fundamental shift in your cognitive wiring. You have, in that instant, attained enlightenment. It's not some far-off goal in the distant future. It's a change in perspective that is available to you right now. So what would change for you if you truly believed that?